Good morning, Matt Delacruz here with the Winning Minds Group, part of the John Maxwell team, and welcome to Mondays with Matt. Happy Monday to you. Hope you had a great weekend as we kickstart this first Monday of this new month of March. The exciting thing about today is that we are closer to spring than we are winter. That's exciting. You couldn't tell with the snow coming down behind me, but that's where you got to be optimistic and say, you know what, we're closer to spring than we are winter, so let's not go there anymore. But anyway, that's a good way of thinking about things. Today's a special day, this Mondays with Matt. In fact, I dedicate today's Mondays with Matt to a dear friend of mine who's no longer here, Stephen Luigi Piazza. You know, when I started thinking about my talk today, I wanted to do something special, not only on behalf of him, but as I took the time to start thinking about it, reflecting, I realized that he was a turning point in my life. And I want you to take this message and think long and hard about taking the time to reflect about the people who impacted your life. What were your turning points? Who were your turning points? I look at leadership and the leadership that he brought. I look at also the level of awareness I am now than I was years ago. But I think the most important part, I think we all need to start thinking about, and I'm thinking about it now, and I have been for a while, but there's this thing called legacy. What is the legacy that we leave behind? You know, on February 21st, we lost a legend, Billy Graham, at 99 years of age, and he impacted millions globally, literally impacted millions of lives. But he leaves a legacy for others to build on. Well, 5 days later, we lost another legend, Stephen Luigi Piazza, where cancer had taken him, but he leaves a legacy for others to build on as well. See, both of these men have a couple things in common. First of all, they were both great leaders. Second of all, they were both turning points in my life. And when I look back on this and I start saying, you know, there's so many people in our lives that sometimes we just take for granted. And I shared today's message with you today because you are hearing me speak today, and if you've been to one of my events, it was because of Luigi. Let me talk to you about legacy, because this is the key point. I want you to think long and hard about your legacy. But here's a couple of quotes out of my journal. If you want your leadership to really have meaning, then you need to take into account the law of legacy, because a leader's lasting value is measured by succession. A leader's lasting value is measured by succession. That's a great quote, especially when we talk about legacy. And then, of course, another great quote is, the best leaders lead today with tomorrow in mind, by making sure they invest in leaders who will carry their legacy forward. And you see, a lot of people don't realize this, but the impact that Luigi had on me. I've known him for about 30 years, and 27 years ago, he approached me, and we were talking. He says, Matt, you have a great story. Have you ever thought about teaching it to other people? And I said, no. I never thought about it, because at the time I was promoting Tom Hopkins seminars. He says, you could do your own seminars if you would teach what you've done. You teach what you live. And he says, you have nothing of content? I go, no, I don't. I got a couple of sheets that I do, and I just go from here and put it on my sheets. He says, what if I get you in front of a group? Could you put something together to speak to the group? And I said, sure. And of course, Luigi comes back 2 weeks later saying, I've got a group for you to speak in front of. It's my company, the company I work for, my group, Rock Financial. Today it's called Quicken Loans. And needless to say, I didn't know that this opportunity to speak to 100 people at the Palace of Auburn Hills and share my goal-setting strategies and techniques with these people like Pat McGinnis, who was the president at the time, and Bill Emerson, Jay Farner, Dan Gilbert. I mean, who would have thought that this could have some type of an impact on their lives? But this is what happens to us all the time, and these turning points and the people, the lives that we impact that we don't even think matters at the time, but later on it does matter. But I took the time and I wrote down a program and I did it. Back then we didn't have laptops. I don't remember if we had computers, but I know we didn't have a laptop because we didn't do PowerPoint. I did everything over overhead, and we just did overhead lays. That's how we did it. And I came up with my first workbook that was spiral bound, and then later on after my first seminar, that was my first public seminar I ever did, because again, it was a turning point in my life, but he impacted me. And then it went to the next workbook, a little bit professional bound. And then we revised it 4 times, and it went from there to here to this one, to the final version, the fourth version that is now that a lot of you have gone through. This is the final version. And of course, it got better with time, but today it has impacted over 500,000 people's lives. And who was to know, gosh, 27 years ago, that a man by the name of Luigi would have encouraged me to put it into a format to teach it to other people. And I thank him for that, to sowing the seed and giving me the encouragement and the hope to do that. And my first public speaking. So I guess what I'm saying to you this week is I want you to think about people. Don't wait till they're gone. I want you to think about people who have impacted your life. Be grateful for them. Tell them thank you, how they changed your life, on how you had the opportunity to change other people's lives. And that's what legacy is all about. Think about legacy long after you're gone. What will people say about you long after you're gone? How many lives have you impacted? Long after you're gone, what is the legacy that you leave behind that others can build on? That's huge. So I close with this last part because I think it's just right to do that. And it's just a couple of scriptures that really ties into the purpose, the meaning, and the mission of Stephen Luigi's life. His master replied, "Well done, good and faithful servant," Matthew 25:23. And I love this one as well. "I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith." 2 Timothy 4:7. I mean, it's rightfully his in those words of Scripture. So I dedicate this Mondays with Matt to someone who impacted my life, who I had a chance to impact your life, and the many people to come. Thanks so much. Live intentionally. Live with passion. And I want you to think about the legacy that you're going to leave behind for others to build on. Thanks so much. We'll talk to you next week.